after the game, they got with me, talked with me and my parents, and we started conversations. And then one thing moved to another level, and then we accepted the scholarship to South Carolina State.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, right now it's South Carolina State University, but back then it was South Carolina State College, right, Coach?
That's right, correct. In Orangeburg, South Carolina.
That's right, Orangeburg, South Carolina. So, Coach, good first quarter. We're going to go to our second quarter, and then we're going to talk about experience at South Carolina State.
Well, I'm advertising my South Carolina State
Oh, and I see it. I see it, Coach. The Bulldogs.
Bulldog.
So let's start our second quarter. So tell me about going from Lancaster to Orangeburg. I'm pretty sure it's a big jump when it comes to people. Was it a culture shock for you?
No, well, not really. It was the first time I had ever been away from home
Mm,
for extended periods of time. Um, it was a minor adjustment. One of the biggest shocks playing baseball was that I went from being all everything at Boss Street on the baseball team because my senior year I was undefeated
yes,
as a
sir.
pitcher. And you go to college now, you playing against 22 and 23-year-old men, some of them.
Grown man,
And
ain't it?
yes, sir, grown men. And that was the culture shock because the culture shock was the first time I stepped on the mound against Fort Valley State College from Fort
Mm,
Valley, Georgia, and
yes, sir.
took a shell lacking, one that I still remember to this day.
They
They
didn't light
beat me
you
like
up,
a
did they?
drum,
Did
beat me
it,
like a drum.
did it light you up like the 4th of July?
Yes, excuse me. But it was a learning experience.
Mm,
And as time went, I got better. The team got better. We ended up winning the conference championship my senior year.
yeah.
My freshman year, the only negative part about it was that was doing the Orangeburg riots.
Yeah, the
And we,
massacre. So you were
right,
there
right, right. We
you were there
had
during
to,
the massacre. Yeah.
yeah, had never been a part of anything like that in my life. So we had to come home for a week or two to give things time to settle down.
Yes, sir.
And then when we uh, went back on the road and started playing. So, finished out that year, but had a great time down there. Great time, great time. And baseball team did well.
So how was it with the massacre? Because that's you're a student and you're an athlete, student athlete, but then you also got to grow up real quick your freshman year when there's a massacre that takes place, the Orangeburg massacre. How was that growing up, seeing that? And because my mom was there during that time also, and she had to come home for a couple of days, and then she went back. How was that being a student when that took place?
Well, the Hammond kid, Smith Hammond Middle, the Hammond kid was in a math class with me. Matter of fact, he sat two rows down from me, two chairs
Mm,
down from me. So I
yes,
knew
sir.
him on a personal level.
Yeah.
Um, scary time, scary time. I was not at the front of the campus when the shooting actually started. Matter of fact, we had come out the dorm and were headed that way. And then all of a sudden you hear the burst of gunfire and people yelling and screaming. And the closer we got to the front of the campus, the wave of people running back from
Mm,
the bullets and the shooting met us, and we turned around and went back to the dorms. It was a very scary night. Very scary night. I
yeah.
don't think anybody slept. We sit in the hallways in the dorm. We didn't even go in our room fearing somebody might shoot through the windows.
Yeah.
We slept in the floor in the halls. But needless to say, 50th anniversary came up this year,
Yeah.
and we got through it. We got through it, and South Carolina State is still thriving, still
Did it?
going strong. Bulldog tenacity.
No, no, that's great because when something like that happens, that can kind of define people. And sometimes people are stopped where the incident and tragedy happened at. And it's good to see that South Carolina State didn't stop. They kept going and they're continuing to thrive.
Right, right. Even as we went back on the road and some of the teams that we were playing, they had outstretched arms. They toward us as the news got around it, what had happened on our campus. So um, it's something that will stay with me the rest of my life.
Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, and I hear all kind of perspectives, but it's always good to hear different perspectives of people who actually witnessed it and went through it and probably could smell the gun smoke.
Well, like I said, I didn't get to the front of the campus. I guess I was half a block away at coming by the dining hall when we met the rush of people coming back. So we were told to go back to your dorms.
Okay.
But just seeing and hearing everything was enough.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah. So how were you able to prepare being a student athlete? I know we mentioned your school back at home, but were there any other struggles for you being a student athlete, or did you just know I'm gonna get my grades, I'm gonna be a great student, and I'm gonna be a great player, and then I'm gonna graduate? Did you have any problems adjusting that way?
No, I've always been a pretty above average student. Because
Okay.
Papa and Mama wouldn't take nothing no less.
That's right.
So we all did fairly well in our academics. And I struggled a little bit when I first got to college because classes were either 3 days a week or 2 days a week,
Yeah.
and everything was rapid fire.
Okay.
Advanced pace. But as time went along, you adjust,
Yeah.
you monitor, you change, you get with the program, or you
Okay.
come home,
See, that's a true teacher right there, because my mom was a teacher, and that's what she always says: monitor, adjust, and change. Monitor,
Yeah.
adjust, and change. So yeah, both my parents are school teachers. So when I heard that, I said, "Yep, he's an educator."
Well, you have to do that because you just can't live in that one eggshell. You have to adjust. And I tell people the education I got in high school, I would stack up with anybody, but most certainly the education I got at South Carolina State. And I've been plenty of places in plenty of meetings with plenty of different people from those other schools.
Mhm.
And I've never felt inferior. I've
That's
never felt intimidated. I always can compete.
Yeah. No, that's what else did you like about Orangeburg? Did you like? Did you?
It was a country town just like Lancaster. Not much to
Mhm.
appreciate because, like I said, the focus of the ride was because we couldn't go to the bowling alley. That's what it was all about. It was give us an outlet. But during the season, football season, during football season, was always look forward to Saturday afternoon. And then during the winter months, there was basketball twice a week.
Okay, that's good.
And then in the spring, I mean, it was gun ho because sometimes we would leave campus on Sunday morning for a road trip to Florida or a road trip to Georgia or a road trip to Alabama, and we wouldn't return to Friday. So
Mm.
it's, you take your books, you get your assignments, and you keep up when you're on the road.
Yeah. So when y'all travel, did y'all stay in hotels, or was it like in the gyms of the other schools?
Yeah, back then, it was you stayed on campus, and
Okay.
most of the time we stayed in the ROTC buildings on campus. They
Yeah.
always had the double deck dorm bunk beds,
Yeah.
and we would eat in the cafeteria. Things they don't do now. And now
They-
teams travel, they stay in hotels. You don't even see the campus life. You go straight to the facility that you're gonna play at, and when the game's over with, you gone.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Only time playing college football, we get to see it is a little bit for homecoming when we go to another stadium, but you don't really get the experience. Like you said, you in and out. Hey, I guess you there to do a job, do it 3 hours, and you go back home.
Yeah. Well, but like I said, back then, if we would get there on the night before the game,
Yeah.
then we get up the next morning, go to breakfast, eat down in the hall with all the students, then eat lunch, play the baseball game, then go back after the game and eat supper. Then we would hit the road out. I've never seen this before, but the first time on a college campus, Tuskegee had chitlins in the cafeteria.
Oh, they did. Did anybody eat them?
I'm sure they did.
Did.
I've just never been a connoisseur of chitlins, but
Oh
that was
yeah.
one of the first places that was the only place I saw it on a college campus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
Tuskegee, Alabama.
yeah, I know it very well, Tuskegee. So when y'all would go to these places, how were the students? Did they look at y'all like, okay, that's just another baseball team, or would they speak to y'all, talk to you guys, or y'all
Oh
was just
yeah, some were friendly, but we didn't have a whole lot of time because, like I said, we were rushed. You eat breakfast, hurry back, and then you start getting ready for the game, which starts at 1 o'clock. And then you play a double hitter, you threw at 5 or 6, and boom, you eat and you're out of there. So it gave you very little time to socialize.
yeah, very little time. So because coach, you're a left-hander, right?
Yes.
So were you all always, because my wife is left-handed too, and she said that her parents would try to make her right-handed. Did anyone ever try to make you change, or was it always he's a left-handed?
No, fortunately, no one tried to change me. I've been a lefty all my life.
Mm-hmm. So when you throwing that, so what's your favorite pitch?
Strike.
Okay, just there you go. Yeah, it don't matter if it's a curve or knuckle. It's just a strike.
It's a strike. I tell people, what's your best pitch? What's your the best pitch? Is a strike.
That's
That's the
exactly
best
right.
pitch you can throw. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, a strike that doesn't get hit.
that's right.
Yeah.
Or hit out the ballpark. Hit it towards somebody where they can help you. And that was one of the, I guess, things as you mature as a pitcher, you don't try to strike everybody out.
Okay,
That was
that's the
one,
lesson.
yeah, good lesson because in high school, it would be 15, 16 strikeouts per game, 7 in the game, and it's not but 21 outs. So, but when you get to college, everybody can hit, everybody can play, so you can't strike everybody out. Then it got to the point of throwing strikes in strategic spots and making them hit the ball to somebody where you don't have to throw 120 pitches a game. If you can get by with 60, 70, 80 pitches, your life expectancy as a
Yeah,
pitcher is going to be longer.
you got so yeah, because as a pitcher, it seems individual because you're the only one with the ball at all times, but you got to be able to protect your arm. So it's got to be kind of a pitch kind of in your head, and you got to really rely on your teammates also.
That's right. To rely on them to make some outs, and like you said, stay ahead of the account, make the batters hit your pitch, and just stay in control the best you possibly can.
Yeah, no, that's great, coach. So did you play at South Carolina State all 4 years, or did you? Because I know the baseball team, they got rid of the baseball team, right?
I played all 4 years.
All
The
4.
baseball was discontinued after I left.
Okay, after you.
It's so ironic. The Major League Baseball draft, the number 1 and the number 2 pick in the baseball amateur draft, I think in 1972,
Mm-hmm.
73 came from South Carolina State. Eugene Richardson went number 1 to the San Diego Padres,
Yeah.
and Willie Mays Aiken went number 2 to the Kansas City Royals. And
Mm.
these two men stayed in the bigs, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And baseball was discontinued the next year after you send 1-2 to the draft. But, everybody says it was a financial reason. Title IX had come in, you had to offer
yeah.
women's sports, many and men, and it still didn't sit well with me because that was my sport.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It never sits well because because baseball, it's a sport. It's not an expensive sport like the other ones, like
Right.
football. Football, you're gonna spend some money if for teams, equipment, all that stuff. Baseball is fairly expensive. It's kind of puts you in the mindset of track and field almost. It doesn't take a lot to carry a baseball team, but baseball usually the first one that gets cut.
Well, and you're right. And they, South Carolina, to their credit, they did return it a few years later. I think in 76, 77, 70, somewhere they brought it back, but it didn't last but a few years. And then they decided not to cut it out again.
Oh yeah, yeah. So after you graduate, South Carolina State, what was it the next step for you?
Well, finding meaningful employment. I
'Cause you
came
got to
back
eat,
home.
right?
Excuse me.
Because you got to eat, don't you?
Gotta eat and can't stay for free at home. I did some various jobs around Lancaster, and then in 1975, coincidentally, the guy who coached the American Legion baseball team that I was one of the first blacks to play for, they had discontinued baseball at Buford High School.
Okay.
And he had talked the board into starting baseball back.
Yeah.
And he knew I was in town. I was the manager of a sporting goods store.
Yes, sir.
So he came by and talked to me and talked to me and talked to me. And I told him no and no and no. Just didn't feel like I wanted to be a teacher.
Yes, sir.
And one of my mentors, best friend to a degree, he came by the store one day because he got wind, and a fraternity brother, that I was they wanted me to coach baseball started back.
Yes, sir.
And I told him, man, kids are too bad in school. I don't want to deal with that. But
Right.
he was quick to remind me that I was bad when I was in school.
He had to let you know, right?
Real quick. But
Yeah.
to make a long story short, they held that job to late early October, and I went out and relented, and I took it, and it was the best career move I ever made in my life, and haven't looked back since. It was a great start for me.
Yes, sir. Well, great. This is a great second quarter. We're going to go to halftime, and then we're going to talk about how you help build that program and turn it around. Good job.
Okay.
So let's go to halftime.
Oh, Bulldogs. There we go.
You asked for it.
I did.
As a Gamecock, Marcus Baltimore gained more than 2,000 yards.
That's it.
That's your song? That's your song?
Remember, winning means keeping your priorities straight. So have fun, stay in bounds, and always play responsibly.
Reggie, you the man.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it. You got to get up and dance for me.
You'd be happy doing that Q-Dog stuff.